Hey there guys, welcome to another episode of the Rational Biohackers. Today I'm going to be cooking one of my favourite dishes, a sort of keto style ramen. Now, when people move on to a strict keto, paleo, organic diet, they find it really difficult to replicate their favourite foods. And today I'm going to be trying to do that for you today with ramen. Ramen is one of my favourite dishes. Unfortunately, a lot of the high street ramen chains use a lot of MSG, which is very bad for the brain. They also use very high omega-6 oils, and that can be very, very harmful, especially the rapeseed oils that they use in the cooking, in Japanese cooking. So today I'm going to do one using majority omega-3 fats, using grass-fed butter as a baseline cooking ingredient, and instead of using soy-based ingredients for the broth, I will be using a little bit of soy sauce, which is optional. I'll be using it, but the main ingredient I'll be using is the cocoa Fina organic soy teriyaki sauce, which doesn't have any soy in it, but it uses coconut vinegar instead of soy, but still has a similar taste to soy. So for those of you who are sensitive to soy, we know that soy uses a lot of glyphosate. People use a lot of glyphosate when growing soy, so it's really good to find substitutes out there. I think in the UK we found a good one in this brand, Cocoa Fina, so you can get the same great taste in your Chinese and Japanese dishes whilst not having to consume a lot of soy. I do still consume a little bit of soy in the form of ClearSpring Organic soy sauce. I think that soy does still have some health benefits when it's organic. It's full of spermidine, which is very, very healthy for you, and I think it's okay personally, but some people are sensitive to soy. I don't recommend using any non-organic soy because it's very, very harmful. But in general, organic soy, I do have a little bit about here and every now and then. In terms of for those in keto, usually people use a lot of mirin, which is very rice-based, and that can be quite unhealthy for those in keto because it's very high in sugar. So if you want to keep a diet, I'll just axe the mirin, I'd axe the soy and keep up with the coconut vinegar. For those in America, I'm sure you should be able to find some soy substitute to use. I'll be listing products that are similar to this UK-based product in the link below. In terms of noodles, I love using Thai rice noodles, but for those on a very strict keto diet, I recommend using Japanese shiitake noodles. They're very, very low in carbohydrates and are great. They will cause still a small insulin spike, but I don't think it's that bad. If you want a carb refeed, they're great. I personally still like eating rice noodles as long as they're organic. I think every now and again it's okay because I'm on a cyclical keto diet, but yeah. Also, I'm going to be splitting this video in two parts. First I'm going to make a broth, and then I'll be showing how I'm going to be making the chicken ramen afterwards, adding in the chicken breast. I'll also be making the Ajitsuke Tamago, which, pardon my pronunciation, is the half-boiled egg, which you put in the ramen, which needs to be gooey. I'm going to explain how to cook that and how to get that center just right. For that, I'll be marinating the organic eggs in the coconut amino sauce. And of course, for the broth, I'll be using apples, carrots, ginger, onions, bay leaves, the typical ingredients of a shoyu ramen broth. And one of the most important factors for a healthy broth, in my opinion, is the water. And this might surprise you, but I love using Icelandic water. Why? Because I love the pH. I also believe that it has the most amount of minerals, which is very, very crucial, as water we have today is very, very low in minerals. So I think that it's just delicious water, and it might sound crazy, but Icelandic water I find to be the most delicious. I find a lot of UK waters, like a lot of water that you buy in UK shops isn't really that tasty, number one. Number two, I find that it's very deficient in minerals. So San Pellegrino could be also another water you can use, which is a little bit less expensive, but also any glass bottled water I'll try and go for. again, you don't want to be using tap water because it's full of contaminants. Again, another issue with ramen shops in general is you don't know whether they're using tap water, or you don't know how their filtration process of the water is. You don't know how strong the water filter is, so they might be using a water filter that filters out some contaminants but not all. So you might still be getting heavy metals in. We know a lot of water that comes through pipes is very high in copper, which can cause copper toxicity. So you really want to be using glass bottled water. Again, I don't like using plastic bottled water because of the BPAs. So if you're on an unlimited budget, the Icelandic water is my preference just for taste. Especially I love making coffee out of this. The coffee is just 10 times more delicious. And when you improve, because ramen, the base of the dish is liquid, the better the water, I think, the better it's going to taste. So yeah, we're going to move on with the cooking part. Okay, so what's super important is just preparing the shiitake mushrooms, which are a key part of the dish. We're just going to add some water to the mushrooms and let them sit for about 30 minutes. So we're going to put the water for our broth. Again, I prefer Icelandic water, as I said before. I just think it's the healthiest, most mineral rich. If you're on strict paleo, strict keto, you really need to understand the importance of having a mineral-rich diet, and there's nothing better, in my opinion, than the raw minerals from Icelandic water. It's just going to make your ramen taste much, much better. Add a selection of ingredients to the broth. We're going to add onions, organic chopped onions, and then the carrots. Again, this probably isn't authentic Japanese, but it's as close as it can get. And the spring onions as well. Then we're going to have the apples, which I think is very important. Doesn't help with lemon, I don't think it's important. And then the celery. What you need to do is we're going to have 175 milliliters of the soy sauce, which I like using the Amino sauce. I think that's a good substitute. Yeah. Gonna add some broth. So this is grass-fed, organic Australian bone broth. I just think it's as effective or as good as chicken stock, in my opinion, but I'm gonna also add a little bit of chicken stock cubes. I think if you want to make the ideal dish, I think you should add chicken stock, but I don't have chicken stock at the moment. So we can add some garlic in there as well. We're going to finish off with some nice bay leaves. And of course, adding in, instead of oil, conventional ramen that you find on the high street is made usually using high omega-6 rapeseed oil. We're just going to use Glenfield Farms grass-fed butter here. Just going to plop that in. So we're going to add in those shiitake mushrooms now, and then we're going to add some white pepper. And then I'm going to add a bit of salt in as well. And I use Celtic sea salt, very high in minerals, delicious tasting, and just really good for the health in general. Next up we have cooking the egg. Now, for the eggs, you really want to make sure that you're cooking with organic eggs that are outdoor farmed. Now, not all organic eggs are made equal because chickens have different livelihoods in terms of some organic chickens, they spend a lot of time indoors and are only let out 2 hours, and they can still meet the standards in the UK for being organic. So you really want outdoor bred chickens that spend the whole time outside eating bugs, because chickens are carnivorous creatures and we usually forget that. And so a lot of organic chickens out there are fed corn, and you can really taste the difference between a chicken that's had a mixed diet of bugs, etc., and a chicken that's fed just corn. It's night and day in terms of taste. So for the best flavour, you want outdoor bred chickens, and I go for the Haresfield farm. from Wiltshire, and I think they do the best eggs. They're available in Whole Foods, easy to buy. For those in the US, I know Whole Foods, Trader Joe's have plenty of outdoor bred chickens. You just really want to make sure when you read the label that they've been outdoor bred and have been able to roam freely and eat what they want. That's the healthiest chicken in my opinion. A chicken that has been fed just corn is going to have different omega-3 ratios in the eggs. There's going to be less vitamins in the eggs, so you really want to make sure that you're having they're eating eggs from a chicken that's an optimal diet. So we're going to just basically pop the eggs in for 6.5 minutes. So I'm using 6 eggs at the moment because I'm worried that if it comes to cutting it up and it's not runny enough, then that's not what I like. And so in order to make sure that your egg is nice and runny, just make more eggs in case one of the eggs fucks up. So we're just gonna take out the eggs. When it comes to opening up, it's gonna be nice and runny. So it's vitally important you get it straight in the ice bath. So you put it in the ice bath for 10 minutes. Then all you need to do is just gently peel your eggs. So we're going to do 125 milliliters of the mirin for the eggs. Again, if you're on keto, I'll just use soy sauce. So the mirin is very high in carbohydrates because it's made out of rice. But personally, I still do a lot of cheat days on keto. So you're going to want to use 125 milliliters. Then 235 milliliters of soy sauce, which I use organic ClearSpring Tamari sauce, but any organic soy sauce, as long as it doesn't have gluten, is fine for me. Now, other people might be sensitive to soy, might want to eliminate soy from their diet, that's completely fine. In that case, just use the cocoa Amino sauce that I put in the ingredients description in the bio of the video. That's absolutely fine. So then we're going to put the ginger in, a bit of garlic in there as well. If you're on a keto diet, I wouldn't recommend adding sugar. I know in the Japanese ingredients of this is to add sugar, and I respect that, but for me, I'm on a strict keto diet, so I don't really want to add 200 grams of sugar as recommended in the recipe. I just think it still tastes great even without the sugar, so that's what I'm going to go for. If you're on a more flexible diet, you can add sugar if you like. I recommend organic coconut sugar because regular sugar usually has a lot of glyphosate, a lot of pesticides. So yeah, you really want to be using the best quality sugar you can, so I recommend an organic coconut sugar. Let the sauce bubble for a bit and then cool down, and then we're going to add the eggs. Gently marinate them in the sauce. Now, usually you should be doing this for about 2 days, but because I don't run a ramen shop, I'm just going to do it for an hour. If you want to make the perfect ramen, do it for a couple of days. Usually the broth needs to be prepared for 10 hours, but I'm only doing 3 hours in this case. It's just my personal preference, really. But yeah, the proper Japanese way would be 2 days, but I'm an impatient guy. So we're going to cook the chicken now in butter. I'm using organic whole foods chicken. I think it's a good choice, but I'll just slow cook the breast in butter. I really recommend Elsefield Organic if you're looking for that top level chicken. I think they're the best out in the business. Also, Delicious Organic do amazing chicken. I've just put a link to all my favourite meats, the ones that really use outdoor bred chickens. I put the link in the description below to where you can buy all those organic meats. So we're just very slowly cooking this chicken in butter. I like it low heat, just not to fuck up the proteins. Again, it cooked in butter because I just think that omega-6 oils just aren't good to cook foods in. So just keeping that temperature low, cooking slowly, and making sure it's cooked through. I think it's going to be delicious. So we're separating the broth from the vegetables. So you get the noodles. Now, if you want just regular organic rice noodles. They're grown in China, which I don't really like because China usually uses a lot of pesticides, has a lot of pollutants in the air. It's not really optimal, but for this occasion, it's good enough. Keto, you really want to be using the Japanese shiitake noodles because they're very low in carbohydrates, and that's going to it won't keep you in ketosis, but it'll be very close to doing so. Much less carbs-wise than the rice noodles. So for those of you watching this video looking for advice on keto ramen, these are the noodles you really want to use. Broth ready, got the chicken ready, I'm just going to add the noodles now. So you want to cook those noodles for about 3 minutes in that beautiful shoyu ramen broth. Okay, the moment of truth, cutting that delicious egg that we didn't overcook. As good as this. Not the best looking I've made, but for health purposes, we've got the organic egg, the organic chicken, the organic noodles, and a lovely organic broth made with grass-fed butter. So I think from the health perspective, it's where you want it to be, but from a looks wise, it's a bit mediocre compared to your conventional ramen restaurant. But, oh well, always striving to improve. So thank you guys for watching.